Let's talk about something fascinating and maybe a little bit uncomfortable. It's this really common, really human way that we tend to sabotage our own futures. It's a mental blind spot with huge consequences. But, and this is the good news, we can actually learn to fix it.
Oh, you know this feeling. I think we've all been there, right? Someone asks you to do something, grab coffee, join a committee, whatever, and because it's 3 months away, you just go, yeah, sure, sounds great. Then the day actually arrives, you look at your calendar and you just think, what was wrong with me? Who is that person who said yes to this?
And here's the wild part. You're not just a bad planner. This is a feature, not a bug, of how your brain is wired. To your brain 3 months ago, the time belonging to future you felt like this endless, cheap resource. But now, in the present, you realize every minute is precious.
And that brings us right to our first topic, what we're calling the future you problem. It's this constant, frustrating gap between what we want for our future and what we actually do today. See, this is the really crucial part. This isn't just about getting out of a few annoying meetings. This exact same mental glitch is what stops us from starting that business, or learning that new language, or taking that big leap that our future selves would be so grateful for. It cuts both ways. So what is actually going on in our heads? Let's get into the science of it all and take a look at our brain's fascinating little blind spot.
Okay, so scientists using brain imaging have found something pretty remarkable. The way your brain actually sees you changes completely depending on the timeline you're thinking about.
So get this. Research from UCLA psychologist Hal Hershfield found that when you think about yourself right now, a part of your brain called the medial prefrontal cortex lights right up. When you think about a stranger, it goes dark. Here's the kicker. When you think about yourself 10 years from now, your brain reacts exactly the same way as when you think about a complete stranger. It literally sees your future self as someone else. And on top of all that, there's another cognitive quirk that makes it even worse. It's called the end of history illusion. Basically, we're all great at looking back and seeing how much we've grown and changed. But for some reason, we have this powerful illusion that from this point forward, we're going to stay pretty much the same. We think we've arrived at the final version of us, which, of course, is never true.
Okay, so this is a really interesting brain quirk, but so what? What's the real-world impact? Well, that brings us to the very high cost of living only in the now.
The most classic and maybe most painful example is saving for retirement. It's so hard for so many of us because that older person who's going to need that money, they feel like a distant acquaintance. Their problems don't feel urgent to us today. We just don't have that emotional connection, so we spend the money now instead of saving it for that stranger.
And this study just illustrates it perfectly. When researchers showed a group of people a digitally aged photo of themselves, they literally met their future self. Those people put away nearly twice as much money for retirement as the people who didn't see the photo. Just seeing that face was enough to make the future feel real. But the biggest cost isn't really about money or overbooked calendars. It's about regret. Over and over again, when people look back on their lives, what they regret most are the chances they didn't take, not the ones they tried and failed at.
Okay, so we understand the problem. Our brain treats future you like a stranger, and it costs us. But the good news is we can actively fight back. We can build that connection. So let's go through 3 really practical ways to do just that. This question really gets to the core of it. The author of our source material shared this amazing story about trying to decide whether to have a 4th child. She was exhausted, totally overwhelmed, and every rational part of her was screaming no. Her feelings of exhaustion were temporary, but the decision was going to be permanent. And this is such a powerful insight. By visualizing herself 10 years down the road, she was able to see that the exhaustion of having a new baby was temporary, but the regret of not having the family she always wanted would be permanent. It's all about separating the feeling of the moment from the values of a lifetime. So here they are, 3 simple but really powerful strategies you can start using today. Let's break them down one by one. First up, just like in that retirement study, make your future self real, tangible. Use one of those AI apps to create an aged photo of yourself. Then put it somewhere you'll see it every day, your desk, your phone background. And before you make a big decision, look at that face and ask, what will this person wish I had been brave enough to try? Number 2 is the tomorrow test. This is a fantastic filter for all those day-to-day commitments. Before you say yes to anything more than a month out, just ask yourself this one question. Would I say yes if this were happening tomorrow? If your gut screams, oh, heck no, well, there's your answer.
your future Tuesday is just as valuable as this Tuesday. And third, when you're feeling burned out or just overwhelmed by life, learn to project past it. First, acknowledge it. It's okay to be in a tough season. But then ask yourself, will I still feel this way in 2 years? What about 5 years? This helps you figure out what's just temporarily difficult versus what is fundamentally the wrong path for you. All right, all of this brings us to our final section and really to a final choice. It's a choice that we're all making every single day, in ways both big and small. You see, honoring your future self isn't always about playing it safe and saving more money. Sometimes it's the total opposite. Sometimes it means saying no to the easy, comfortable path and saying yes to that big goal that absolutely terrifies you, because you know that stranger down the road will be so glad you did.
When you think about it, your future self has no one else. They can't do anything. They are completely 100% dependent on the choices that you and only you make for them today.
So that's the question I really want to leave you with. Think about that person you're going to become, the one who kind of feels like a stranger right now. What's one decision, big or small, that you can make today that they are going to look back on and say, thank you?